Welcome back, everybody. We are continuing our journey talking about team member engagement and issues that drive a healthy working environment beyond engagement. And we're continuing today by starting to tear apart Maslow's hierarchy of needs. As a reminder from our introduction, organizations have to meet the base level of needs before they worry about the higher level of needs. So in this session, we're going to talk about the most baseline level, and that is physiological needs. Maslow described those as the need for food, shelter, clothing, very, very baseline kind of things. Now, to translate that and to extrapolate that into a working environment means that that comes down to pay, compensation. A little bit of influence there in benefits, but we'll talk about benefits more as it relates to safety and security in the next installment. So when we focus on compensation, we're going to focus on three very base strategies to provide more value and more expectation of value based on what somebody's pay is. Now, the one thing we're going to throw out the door right away is, obviously and easily, if you just paid everybody $70,000 a year, no matter what their job level is, like some entrepreneur did recently, this would absolutely not be a discussion topic. But for the rest of us that have to manage pay in a little bit more segmented manner and in a little bit more of a thoughtful manner, this is how we're going to get a higher value proposition out of base pay that we provide our team members. Now, the first strategy I want to talk about is using some comparable data. Regardless of your industry set or your geography, there is some comparative information available to you if you do a little bit of research. Local human resource groups, local industry groups provide data on where average salaries and average pay is for particular job types and particular industry sets. One of our best recommendations is to gain that information, grab that information that's available out there, and there are varieties and varieties of sources of it, and publish it. Publish it with also your own information placed on there as well. Show where your salaries and your compensation is at compared to those industry averages or geographic averages or things like that, and demonstrate that your people are getting a little bit higher value than average. The second strategy that we're going to talk about and encourage you to use is the use of a total value statement. I worked in an organization in the early 90s that annually, and maybe it was even twice a year, they would publish a little bit of a sheet, and it would provide the base level of compensation and then everything else that went into keeping you employed. And so what it did is it started at that, $30,000, whatever it was, base salary, and then added things, including, required matching that's done on government withholdings and things like that, all the way through the value of parking and stuff like that. And what it did, it would take that $30,000 base salary, and then when you have all the value of all those benefits associated with it, man, that number got up there real big. So it provided a value-added proposition to the team member. There was no longer the focus on the $30,000 base. It was now, wow, my total compensation value is $45,000 or $50,000 or whatever that number was. And if you think about that in today's terms, and you realize the cost, especially that you're paying in things like healthcare and other insurance and other benefit pieces, that number could roll up really, really quickly and be real eye-popping. And again, the purpose there is to drive the team member away from focusing on the base and more than focusing on the total piece that you're providing them. Third strategy that we'll talk about and encourage you to use is a strategy that takes a little bit of art to pull off. And not all organizations are of the size to do this, but even small organizations can do this in some form. And that is to provide your team members with some financial management and financial counseling tools. There's a wide variety of things out there that help folks manage their money more effectively and to deal with their debt and their cash flow. Our best recommendation, we've seen this in action in a couple of organizations, that even though your salary and compensation is fixed, let us help you provide some tools to get more out of that. And whether you bring somebody into your organization to provide that or provide that via the internet or some web-based tools, it really doesn't matter. But what you're demonstrating there is you care how far your team members' dollars go. And again, that becomes really, really important, and it's a value added to them to help them meet that baseline level of needs. And again, and I apologize for being redundant, but if we don't meet those baseline level of needs, anything else that we do strategically on the other levels of needs just isn't going to resonate with our team members. The next time we're together, we're going to work on safety and security issues, the second level in Maslow's hierarchy.